Hello, welcome everybody. I would like to say hello to this event within the UNIDO series of webinars on quality and standards in the fight against COVID-19. My name is Dorina Nati, and I'm here today with Mr. Osama El Meligi from Egypt. This session of webinars is organized within a broader series organized by the UNIDO Department of Trade, Investment and Innovation. We already had a very successful event last week, which consisted of a panel discussion and focused on standards and testing in the fight against COVID. Today, we will talk about organizational resilience in times of COVID. And we have upcoming events next week focusing on conformity assessment, auditing and management system certification, and an event focusing on innovation and standards and how we can harness those in view of building a better world after COVID-19. Today's session will focus on organizational resilience in times of COVID. We will start with a presentation by Mr. El Meligi and then continue with a question and answer session. For all participants, if you do have a question, please post the question at the bottom of your window. There is a little box which says Q&A. You can put your question there. We will then select the most relevant questions and ask them to Mr. El Meligi after his presentation. Please consider that we might get a lot of questions and we might not be able to answer all of them. We want to apologize in advance if this is the case. Please note that the session today will be recorded. We had almost 200 participants that registered for the session. I can now see that already more than 100 have joined, and we expect more in the coming minutes. Having said that, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Osama El Meligi. Mr. El Meligi is a renowned expert in good governance, standards, and quality infrastructure. He has been a convener of multiple ISO working groups, one of which focused on organizational resilience, among other topics. He has been a UNIDO advisor for many years, so he's a good colleague of ours. And being an aeronautical engineer, I'm sure he knows a lot about quality assurance and resilience. We're very pleased that Osama is here with us today. Osama, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dorina. Good afternoon, my dear friends and colleagues. It really gives me great pleasure to be with you this afternoon. The topic we are going to handle today, you see, everybody is suffering. All organizations around the world, international organizations, companies, governments, are still in the struggling mode. So that's why UNIDO suggested that let us discuss today how can our organizations be more resilient in facing pandemics, climate change, and global challenges. And as we respond, we need to go from this crisis, start recover from the socio-economic shock. We need to work together as resilient teams to make sure that recovery will focus on building inclusive, sustainable economies that are more resilient in facing pandemics, climate change, and many other global challenges. We want to go back on track to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, stronger and more resilient and more innovative. Today in my presentation, I will address a background about resilience. Where did the word come from? And we are in a rapidly changing context. So a continuous situation analysis during and after COVID-19, because the only fact is business will no more be as usual. Also, we want to distinguish between organizational resilience and operational resilience. And what are the stages that we shall go through until we go back on track to achieving sustainable development goals? We shall address 4 very important international ISO standards. I will talk in brief about the Organizational Resilience Standard ISO 22316. I will also address the ISO 22301, this for business continuity management. I will also address the risk management and opportunity management, ISO 31001, a very important report that I participated in preparing during 2009 is ISO TC 176 Speed and Agility Report. I will try to advise about 7 strategies for resilience and immediate actions and path forward. But let's start, I would like to start with this. Today we want to have what we call a precautionary optimistic approach. Because if you open your TV or you get messages from everywhere about the crisis, about the damage, but there is always an opportunity in the times of difficulty and adversity. So let us looking forward for the future with a precautionary optimism. Let me go to just a quick overview on the impacts the economy on economies, on societies. Maybe some people think that environment had benefited from this crisis, but it's a temporary benefit. But maybe on the long term, we need to be aware. Maybe governments and companies will have no budget for environment. So let us don't forget the 17 sustainable development goals. Let us not lose focus on our sustainable development goals. Even values and ethics. We have seen very good ethical practices during this crisis, but also we have seen companies and countries trying to make money during this, this is rejected at all levels. Standards will change, relationships with our customers, our beneficiaries, our boards, relations will change, and systems and processes needs to be flexible and change quickly. That's what we are trying to talk about today. But for organizations, of course, we care for the world and for the globe, but now organizations of all types are facing severe economic and financial crisis. Sales, no sales, customers cannot reach to our outlets. We find sometimes difficulty to face meet our clients. Extremely high health and safety risks. We are working in the mode stay at home and work from home. Our supply chain is interrupted and almost collapsing. Operations are not as smooth as we used our projects. Disruption, uncertainty, but tough decisions to make in a time where we need to take bold decisions. Let us remember this word. We need to take bold decisions under very tough conditions. And now innovation is becoming a necessity. I have seen in the flyer that Dorina presented that there is a webinar about innovation. Please, we need to give more attention to innovation in the coming days and months. Again, let us go for today with an opportunity. And another good proverb that hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny and extraordinary decision. The business environment is rapidly changing and will never be as usual again. Are we prepared? Is our scanning and analyzing our strengths before weaknesses, opportunities before threats? Is it updated or is it 3 months ago? We need to work on scanning our SWOT analysis. Did we review our strategies and direction considering COVID-19 epidemic? These are 4 important questions that I would like to help in finding an answer. Did we establish a resilience and a business continuity team? Are our systems, people, shareholders, stakeholders, dependencies, are they ready for the consequences? These are 4 questions. I'll try to give some assistance in helping you answer them, but very soon. The word resilience is originally from the Latin word resiliere, to rebound, recoil, or spring back. It's a general concept that can be defined as the capacity of a dynamic system. A dynamic system, yes. An organization is a dynamic system full of life. And I will show you after some slide this simulation of the organization systems with a human being systems. This is the capacity to withstand or recover from significant challenges that threatens its stability, viability, or development. This is the old definition in the Latin, philosophy about resilience. But one of the standards that I will bring it on the table is this ISO 22316. It's 3 years old now. So please, this standard is a good tool for us, but it's not excellent tool for what's happening now. But it gives some principles which do not change, will equip us with some new terminology and words that we need to insert in our day-to-day language and business. It helps us establish a culture of resilience because it provides for principles and values that companies and organizations needs to attach to. It's very important, this standard. But however, there are a lot of developments that we need to work on it. So more resilient organizations can anticipate and respond to threats and opportunities arising from sudden or gradual shocks, not changes, in their internal and external context. Talking about organizational resilience, there are 4 maybe components or modules of the organizational resilience. Number one, operational resilience, information resilience, supply chain resilience, and first of all, resilient people. I will try to address these four columns of the organizational resilience, trying to make this harmony of these four columns of the operational resilience versus organizational resilience. You know, organization, it's about, you know, the vision, the strategy, the leadership, the context of the organization. While operational resilience is more process-oriented. It's about examining how business functions, what measures are needed to protect these processes. So this is a distinction. It's like distinction between the brain and the body. Let us call organizational resilience, it's about the brain, the decision-making, the vision, the leadership, while operational resilience, it's about having a lean, flexible, adaptive body. So let us try to make this balance between the organization and leadership resilience and the operational and the body and the projects and the processes and our products and services. This is operational resilience. There are 5 building blocks for what we call organization-wide operational resilience. Operational resilience is board down. So it's led by the board, by the leadership. It must be measured. Operational resilience is something that we can measure and improve. But it's from front to back and failure-centric, because don't expect that it's over. Maybe you are in the middle of the crisis. Maybe things are going worse. We hope not. But organizations and operations will be failure-centric and multifaceted. It's about our management disciplines. We have like 30 or 35 management disciplines, management systems in any organizations. We talk about coordination and synchronization. One important word that we came to in the year 2009 is that processes need to be synchronized and coordinated. We used to use the word coordinated, but in the agility and speed, we use synchronized and coordinated. So from board and strategy to policy and framework level to operating model. These are the 3 levels that we want to build and enhance our operational resilience strategy, maturity assessment, resilience tolerance, and these are the 4 main duties of the board and the CEO: operational strategy, maturity assessment, resilience tolerance, and resilience culture. On the level of policy and framework, we need our frameworks and policies to accommodate operational resilience. Measurements are defined, monitored with moment-to-moment indicators, not 1-week indicators, with risk appetite. And I will go to what is meant by risk appetite. On the operating model, we need to review our business operations, identified dependencies and vulnerabilities, control gaps and points of failures. That's why you cannot assume that if you have a good strategy and a good policy that this will work 100%. No, we have to complete the 3 levels. Second part is supply chain resilience. So as I said, we have 4 aspects of resilience: operational resilience, supply chain resilience. You see here, we need to have a buffer inventory, multi-sourcing, transparency and fairness with our supply chain. Third is information resilience. We rely on information systems, on technology, on clouds and cloud computing. And the more we rely on technology and computers and systems, the more we are vulnerable. That's why cybersecurity and ISO 27001 is becoming a must now. Another aspect of information resilience is innovation is coming a necessity now. So we shall rely more on information and digital transformation and industry V4 technologies, Internet of Industrial Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and all this need governance and assurance of information and resilient and responsive, not only information, but intelligence. The world is moving now to intelligence, not only information. The fourth very important aspect is people resilient. And resilient people are aware of the situation, their own emotional reactions and behavior of those who are around them. Resilient people can maintain control of the situation. Resilient people understand life is full of challenges. It's not an easy life or easy business doing. You have a sense of control, strong problem solving. That's what our human resources managers need to work on this. How to empower our workforce and diversify its skills and competencies in the times of crisis. Have a strong social connection. They are survivors, not victims. They are able to ask for help and ready to offer help. These are attributes of the resilient people, which in my opinion, the most important aspect of resilience is resilient people. Again, difficulties are meant to rouse, not discourage. The human spirit is to grow strong by conflict. I like this proverb. I don't know if it is Roman or Chinese or maybe Egyptian, but difficulties are meant to rouse, not discourage. The human spirit is to grow strong by conflict. According to ISO 22316, there is no absolute resilience. Organization resilience, it's influenced by interaction, unique interaction and combination of strategic, that's on the decision, on the board level, on the leadership level, and the operational factors. And I would like to remind all of us that a resilient organization will have improved ability to anticipate, address risks, vulnerabilities, and grasp on opportunities with both hands. If the opportunity appears during the time of adversity, grasp with your two hands. Increase the coordination, integration, harmonization, coherence. I call it health and immunity of the organization. We have health and immunity indicators, and we need to start working on monitoring our health and immunity and work on our organizational immunity. The resilient organization better understand their stakeholders, their interested parties, their dependencies, and those who support achieving our strategic goals. An organization is like a human being who is shocked by a health crisis. In the survival mode, going through it, then start recovery. We are talking about when is economy going to the recovery stage again. But after the recovery, you need rehabilitation. Then you reach sustained growth and development. That's what is our goal now. When are we going back to our normal business mode, sustained growth and development? As I told you, there is what we call organizational immune system. This is a very good research made by Gilly and Godek in 2009. Both are complex yet delicate collections of interrelated functions and people. The immune system, like human immune system, protects against change, intrusions, by erecting a powerful barrier. I call a powerful contingency plan, crisis management team, preparedness. That's what the immune system give us to the company or to the organization. A high level of preparedness and readiness. It's very immunity. The organizational immune system is made of the people, policies, procedures, processes, and cultures. These are indicators we need to start measuring now. 9 indicators, maybe more. I'm not going through the contents of the ISO 22316, except like a checklist to assess the situation of my organization in terms of these guidelines. What about our principles and values? Do we have a coordinated approach? Do we maintain a shared vision and clarity? Do we understand our context and the risk with the change? So please, do you have the material? Use these 15 items as a checklist to make your gap analysis. And this is a summary of the standards which shows attributes and activities. We are talking about anticipation, managed change, continual improvement, effective empowered leaders, clarity of purpose, and about the principles also. I would like also to go to another, this is a very important standard, risk management. We need to be masters of our risk management tools. I would like to put this slide here. You see the green, it's a balanced risk opportunity approach. So when you are making your risk assessment, don't focus on the negative aspect of the problem. Look at the emerging opportunity. And this is what makes this balance, which give us what we call the risk appetite. So be the master of your risk and opportunity management techniques. Success today required agility, drive to constantly rethink, reinvigorate, react, and reinvent. Is another great wisdom that we need these days. The leadership has a very, as I said, leaders, not only the lead, you are the leader at your operation, in your location, in your part of the organization. You need to maintain balance between central control and delegation. You need to maintain balance that's not too negative or over optimistic. But there is a need to accountability. There is a single decision maker. There is only one commander on board the ship, especially in the crisis. It will not survive if we have too many commanders on board the ship. And these are the many disciplines that we have in any organization. I highlighted with red and green that health and safety management. Now we need to make very good management of our health and safety standards, monitoring and assessment using technology, artificial intelligence, augmented reality. All of this we have seen in the standards. The difference now is use of technology in monitoring, reporting, and intelligence. Very critical. I'd like to spend 2 minutes on this diagram because for me it was a surprise when I found it 10 years ago. We are used to PDCA model, the traditional Deming continuous improvement, cycle. But this is the OODA loop. Remember this, because this will appear in the coming standards. It's observe, orient, decide, act. And if we shall see in the near future a combination of OODA for the decision making and PDCA for the operation. This is a future diagram which will replace the PDCA. It's called agility and maneuverability. Yes, organizations need to speedily make maneuvers and turn around the crisis with new solutions. Change direction, don't change destination or targets. Observe, orient. It's a very good work that was done 10 years ago. We need it now. There is another important standard. Use it also as a benchmark. Do we have good business continuity plans in place? Are we ready? So this standard is from business perspective, very beneficial. From a financial perspective, we must be ready. We have little money coming in. So we need to be careful with our financial becoming limited resources. Very useful from interested parties perspective, from internal process perspective. This is very good standard also, but I think we need to add from the lessons we learned quickly. So the business continuity resiliency planning is process of creating systems of prevention and recovery. In the material that you will have, I'm talking about business continuity arrangements, resilience team, resilience guidelines. The US Navy or French Navy, every ship, they have their resilience team and resilience guidelines. We need this now for our sites and our operations. We need new tools and technologies for our organizations. For the monetized technology, mainly technology, we need new business models enriched with speed, agility, and maneuverability. Let me admit to you that the management systems and management models that we have been working with for many years now should be revised with a new business doing model full of speed, agility, and ability to maneuver in this storm. And technologies of Industry V4. We know about cloud computing, wearable technologies, industrial Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, big data, 3D printing. We need to work with these technologies. I would like to close my presentation with immediate actions that we need and path forward. Check your building blocks for organization-wide operation. I have been talking about the building blocks. Make it as a checklist. Develop resilience enhancement activities. Communicate messages to support resilience quickly. We need 7 strategies during this crisis. Don't lose control of the decision-making process. Stop bleeding, leakage, losses. Monitor closely. I use the term ICU, intensive care unit. Some of our projects should be in the intensive care unit now. Stay alert. It isn't over yet. Keep eyes and ears open. Do something different in a different way. Innovate. Learn quickly. Survival is for those who learn quicker. Focus on your strengths and the potential opportunities. Don't focus only on the losses and negative aspects of the crisis. And these are like 10, 11 messages. Don't panic, stay on control. Keep your eyes open. I would like to stress on the human life and safety first at any time and under any conditions. Maintain a balanced, precautionary, optimistic approach. This is something I wanted to close my presentation with. Maintain a balanced, precautionary optimism. Again, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. And we have been through these standards, and these reports were very useful for me. The McKinsey and Company report, BSI report, KPMG report. Thank you for your patience, and I'm looking forward to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Osama. I think this was a very interesting presentation. In the meanwhile, we have gotten some questions through the Q&A box at the bottom of the window. I have reviewed most of the questions, and I have tried to answer some simple ones. We got the question regarding the standards and whether it is freely available. And there I would like to highlight that ISO and other international standards organizations and also national standards organizations have made standards available for free that are particularly relevant in the current context of the crisis. For this particular standard that we discussed today, which is ISO 22316 on organizational resilience, I have posted the link to the question and answer box. So anybody who is interested can access the standard there. More standards are available. Please refer to ISO and the other organizations. Now, coming to the questions, Osama, that we have received. I have picked some which I thought might be of relevance to a broader audience. One of which is what can SMEs in developing countries do to be more resilient, particularly as you spoke with regard to the ISO standards, which we all know sometimes it's a costly and difficult process to apply and get certified or apply the standard within an organization. So how do SMEs in developing countries manage to be more resilient, as in many cases they already struggle with their day-to-day operations?
Yes, this is a very good question because really SMEs, especially in developing countries, are suffering a lot. This is a fact. We should not deny. Denial is not good for resilience. We should admit. However, we can see many initiatives in many countries to support and help SMEs. So we have seen governments and associations working with SMEs. However, there is a homework that each company needs to do. And in my presentation, I've given some, I don't want to say advices, but experiences. If you have any unnecessary expenses, review your expenses and I call it the leakage and bleeding. Stop the leakage and bleeding now. Another advice for the SMEs is to make maneuver. Maybe you find new products and new services that don't stick to the old agenda. The old agenda is not working now. Innovate quickly. So the advices we give to the SMEs, governments can make use of them. Big multinational companies are suffering now. Maybe let me tell you that SMEs are more flexible and easy to maneuver than big companies. So there is an opportunity as there is a threat also.
Thank you, Osama. Another question that we got is whether the ISO standard 22316 is a certifiable standard and how certification would work.
No, ISO 22316 is not certifiable. This is a guidance standard. It gives principles and guidelines for companies. The certifiable one is ISO 22301, which is the business continuity. We call it BCMS, Business Continuity Management System. This is a required standard. It is certifiable. So, and this is very important that small companies try to work. It's available free also on the ISO link. If you go to ISO.org, you can not download, it's in the explore mode only. You cannot download a copy. So this is certifiable one.
Okay, thank you, Osama. We got another question from Mr. Nigel Croft. Nigel Croft is one of the hosts of the upcoming webinars.
He's a good friend of mine.
And a good friend of yours. That's a very interesting question. He said that many of these suggestions that you're giving are very sensible and require a change in the overall mindset of the consumer behavior, from the fact that consumers demand things quickly and cheap, to rather an approach where goods are accessible just in case instead of just in time. So his question relates to the fact that how can we get this message across?
I think the message we got from Nigel is a very important message on the right time. We need to work with networks. You cannot do it alone. So I know that you need to have a very good network of national, regional organizations who are associations, industry sector-specific industries for telecom, for automotive, for food chain. So we need to work with associations of sector-specific industries, and also we need to work with governments. Government, they lead in every country. Government now leads the process. Let us admit, maybe it's in the developing countries, and I see also even in the United States or in Europe, government. So you need to work with governments. When the message is sent from the government, even to the associations, it have a different impact. So we need to work with the governments, with the local authorities also, and with the industry specific sectors. Thank you, Nigel, for this question.
Thank you, Osama. Another question that we got in the meanwhile is, in large institutions, sometimes the staff is more resilient than the system. So departments like procurement or legal are sometimes slow in adapting and changing their procedures, which are already in place, yes, and not so fond to short-term innovation. So in the case of the crisis, what would be your advice to those organizations or departments?
In my presentation, you have seen the 3 levels. We have the strategy level, the policy framework level, and the tactics and the operation level. Changing the policies for the procurement and for the HR or all these functions on the operational level will be easy and quickly once the leadership empowered it and enforces it. So we need the empowerment from, and the directions from the board. You remember when I said the change is board driven, board led. So we need a strategy in the company, in the organization. Then we need also to set up time standards. Now it's time. You cannot work on this change forever. You are given only 10 days to submit a first draft. That's what we call firm governance, assured governance. Organizations which have a good governance, in good organizational governance, are easy to respond because they already have systems, have policies, they have auditing, they have compliance, they have KPIs, indicators. So this is governance. So if the company, whether a big company or small company, have a poor management system and poor governance, they are in a big mess. So my advice is to work on the good governance and best management practices and speed and agility in adapting to this unprecedented, unexpected, severe change.
Thank you, Osama. Another question relates to manufacturing. We have heard in recent times that many manufacturers have adjusted their production lines in view of producing goods that are now required in times of the global pandemic. So would manufacturing repurposing be considered resilience?
Yes, of course. Manufacturing companies, they need resilience more than or equal to government's resilience and, small or service. But unless these companies are already, they are in a good health. You remember I said that there is what we call the organizational health indicators. If the company is in a good health, this means it's not very fat, overweight, very, redundant workforce, So this is not good governance. So again, for the manufacturing companies, they didn't hear the Six Sigma and the lean manufacturing, but those who are heard about lean manufacturing, and they tried to teach their workers and their engineers about lean manufacturing and no waste manufacturing, no defect manufacturing, it will be easy for them to adapt. But it's never too late. The lesson we learn now that we need to go to lean manufacturing quickly. We need to go to Six Sigma quickly. It's not time for waste or time for leakage of time. We need the minute. We need the minute. We need the 5 grams of raw material that we used to throw in the garbage. We need it today. Those who have been working with lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, total quality management, TPM, they know the language of resilience. They are in a good health.
Thank you, Osama. You already preempted one of our upcoming questions, which was, do you see similarities between the ISO standard that you presented and lean management? But I think you already discussed this now in detail.
Sure.
So,
there is a big linkage. Thank you.
Thank you. We also get a lot of references to other standards like 26,000 and other ISO standards. Can you, we just want to say that this session had a particular focus. Sure, there are other standards that are equally relevant to this one in times of crisis. We cannot refer to all of them in this context.
Can I make an intervention here? I was preparing yesterday for and also webinar about ISO 26000 in the time of crisis. It's a local webinar here. And I have to open my old books again and about the socialist. In this time, we need social and ethical responsibility. And that is what is behind ISO 26000. We see companies firing their workers, not committed to their legal obligations in the wake of this crisis. No, this is not the time to, fail your people. So, or your suppliers, or your customers. This is about social responsibility in the time of crisis. And it's not for today, it's for 3 months later. Because when you are out of this crisis, and you disappointed your workers, your suppliers, your customers, this is not resilience. So social responsibility, ethical responsibility, compliance, it's part of the ISO 26000. Governance, this is ISO 26000. So we need to adhere also not to management standards, but to social standards. Thank you. Very good part which I didn't, elaborate on it during my presentation.
Thank you very much, Osama. Thank you, everybody who attended. I have received many more questions. I'm sorry we will not be able to answer all of them. A lot of the questions refer to future events and to the material of this webinar. Here, I would like to refer everybody to the Trade Investment and Innovation Knowledge Hub, where we will make available information and registration links for all upcoming events as of next week. The link is tii.unido.org. So if you're interested to follow similar events in the future, please refer there. With that, I think we are ready to close the session, which I would like to close with a comment that I got from one of our participants, which goes to you, Osama. It says, thank you for highlighting looking at opportunities instead of crying at the damages. And I think that is a very nice comment, and I couldn't find better words for closing this session. Thank you very much, Osama. I think it was very informative, and thank you for always looking at the bright side of life, even when it doesn't seem so bright to the rest of the world. Thank you, Osama.
Thank you very much. It's pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Having said that, thank you to all the participants, and we hope to see you in one of our forthcoming events.
Thank you.
Thank you.